Hello, 6th graders. Welcome to Big Ideas Math, Contract Math, Section 2.3b, 2012 edition, Number Properties lesson. Pause while you write Section 2.3b, 2012 edition lesson in your math notebook. Pause again while you write the lesson objective. Use number properties to evaluate expressions in your math notebook. For this lesson, we'll be working on pages 67A and 67B in your 2012 textbook. Take a moment and copy the key ideas at the top of page 67A into your notes. Be sure you copy all of the words and all of the numbers. Be sure you copy down which properties are which, because those are very different, as you might remember from 4th and 5th grade. So the commutative property is very different from the associative property. Let's look at example 1 using commutative and associative properties. First, take a look at the study tip, which reminds us that we have these properties so that we can use them to group numbers so that they're easier to add or multiply. So let's look at example A. Evaluate 4 7/10 plus 6 plus 3 3/10. So when we look at that, it looks pretty messy, but if we just reorganize the numbers so that we have 4 7/10 plus 3 3/10 together, we're using our commutative property of addition, and then we group 4 7/10 plus 3 3/10 together, so then we're using our associative property of addition. And that makes things so much easier because we can see that the 3/10 and the 7/10 add up to 1, and 1 plus the 4 and the 3 equal 8. And so 8 plus 6 equals 14. So that makes it really easy to add. So you can almost do that in your head. Makes it super easy. And now let's move on to example B, where we're asked to evaluate 7 times 4 times 1/4. Again, that looks a little bit scary, but if we use our associative property of multiplication, then we can regroup things, knowing that we can just move those numbers around and reorganize things. So we can put the 4 with the 1/4, because we know that when we multiply 4 times 1/4, it turns out to be 1. And then 7 times 1 equals 7. So it turns out to be a much easier problem than what it looked like at the beginning. Example 2 is on 67B, and it's our real-life application. A helium atom has positively charged protons and negatively charged electrons, as shown in the diagram. The sum of the charges gives the charge of the helium atom. Find the charge of the atom. So the charge of an atom equals the charge of protons plus the charge of electrons. So that's what we're dealing with there. So if we look at our diagram, we can see that our protons are +1 and +1, so that's +1 plus +1, +1 plus +1, and then our electrons are red, so that's -1 plus -1. So we're just substituting those in, and then that gives us a +2 plus a -2. So we simplify. So we're putting all of our positives together and then all of our negatives together. And then when we add that up, we can see that we've got +2 plus a -2, so that equals 0. So, our answer is 0. The protons and the electrons are oppositely charged, so the helium atom has a charge of 0. Your assignment for this lesson is to complete practice problems 1 through 4 on page 67A of your 2012 textbook. Show your work and be prepared to share during our next class. In case you have trouble viewing page 67A, the practice problems are shown at the bottom of this screen. Remember, to earn credit for viewing this flipped lesson, you need to complete your exit slip, come to our next class prepared with the journal pages or other work from the flipped lesson completed, be prepared with any work that was assigned in the flipped lesson completed, and be prepared with any questions you have for your teacher, and of course, have a good attitude.